Hi friends, my name is Kathleen Peters and I am the author of the book Embrace You, a guide to uncovering the real you. And you're here probably because you're trying to figure out if you even want to be in an Embrace You group. So I want to give you kind of an explanation of what this is even about. I'm in my shed. That's why you see insulation and undone shed, but I'm so glad that you're here in my writer's shed joining me. Embrace You. The idea is, I want to say twofold, but it's not. It's lots of folds. There's lots of layers to Embrace You. It's about uncovering the real you. It's about forgiving yourself. The book is full of questions to ask yourself to help you kind of discover who you are. I hear from a lot of women, I want to be authentic, I want to be real, but I've been so busy making sure I fulfill everybody else's needs and I'm everything to everybody else, I don't even really remember who I am. And so Embrace You is, first of all, it's about reminding yourself who you are, how God made you. How are you unique? How are you beautifully made? And then the Embrace You groups are about getting together with other women and getting to know them, who they really are, and encouraging one another and affirming one another. It's about forgiving yourself, touching on what your strengths are. Who is that girl when you put her in the right situation and we take a bunch of obstacles out of her way? What is the thing that she's just like a rock star at? You, I'm talking about you. What are your rock star strengths? You have them, I promise. What are those things that, they're hard and you wish you could do them better, but you can't, and you struggle with them, and Embrace You is about recognizing those parts too. I found that as God has been showing me what I am and what I am not, it's been kind of exciting. It's been freeing to say, you know what? God didn't make me that way. And he did it on purpose. And so let's embrace those parts of us too, and then maybe figure out how we can get help with those things, but spend our focus and our time on our strengths. It's about trusting yourself. It's about casting off the shoulds. Don't should on yourself. You ever heard of that? SHOULD, shoulding. I've spent a lifetime shoulding on myself. Spent a lifetime telling myself what I should be and what I shouldn't be and what I should do and what I should feel. And I'm discovering that that's not really how God works. And he wants me to see me as he sees me, as he made me. And that means letting go of what I think the world thinks I should be, even what I think he thinks I should be. It's a lot of shoulds, isn't it? And embracing who I really am. And I'm taking that from Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. I love that. Embracing who I really am and letting go of the stuff I'm not. It's also about embracing your story. All of it. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? We all have deep parts of us in our story that we don't really want people to know, we're ashamed of, or we have parts of us we wish people knew, but we don't think we should tell them because that would be bragging, right? It's about embracing all of you and all the parts of your story. And when I say embrace, I mean just what that is. It's taking all of who I am and saying, you know what? I am who I am. And it's beautiful the way God made me. It's building compassion for others. One thing that I've recognized in myself as I've begun to let go of the shoulds and I've begun to give myself freedom to make mistakes and say, you know what? I'm human. Humans make mistakes. Move on, Kathleen. Embrace your strengths, Kathleen, and get help with the things that you're not good at. And yeah, you're not going to do this life perfectly. As I've done that, as I've had what I call that, and lots of other people call it, self-compassion, I have begun to notice that I have the same compassion for you. The things I was judgmental and I criticized people for, I found those things started to just dissipate. I began to see women differently. I began to wonder why they did what they did. I began to get curious. Like, why did she react that way? I began to think the best of everyone instead of putting them down. If you struggle with that, and I know a lot of Christian women who do, Embrace You could be a fantastic start of you beginning to not only tell yourself you should have more compassion, but to actually feel it. The last thing I'm hoping that Embrace You does is help us cultivate a culture of authenticity. The groups of Embrace You are meant for you to share some deep things, to share some things that feel vulnerable, and to experience what it's like to have other women come in and empathize and not judge you or shame you or try to tell you how you shouldn't feel or tell you what Bible verses that are there that you should be reading and telling you should pray more. We all know that stuff, right? This is about you experiencing women coming alongside you and saying, you know what, friend? I felt that way before too. And it's hard. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're experiencing that. Or I'm sorry that you had that in your life. I care about you deeply. So many women's circles, we do not experience this culture. We are scared to be authentic because, for good reason, you get on Facebook or social media, somebody expresses something vulnerable, what happens? There's an attack. There's an attack, and it's scary and it's frightening, and women say, never again. I'm not doing that ever again. Embrace You groups, we're calling them eggs because it's Embrace You groups. Not cool. We're all going to be eggs. If you decide to be a part of an egg, this is a small group. It could be 2 people. It can be upwards of up to 6 people of women who feel safe that you can share the answers to some of the questions in Embrace You. It's totally free and optional to each member, whether they want to share or not. But for those who want to, it's to create this culture of authenticity and empathy. If you struggle with empathy, and I know most of us do, I really struggle with it. This is going to be an opportunity for you to practice and learn how to do it. Not only how to do it, but what it feels like to have some other woman come alongside you and say, you're not alone. I've been there. I've felt that. I'm so sorry, right? And to rejoice and to celebrate, right? We don't get to do that in lots of women's circles either, because especially in Christian circles, it's not humble. It's not humble to talk about the joyous things that have happened in your life. So we don't talk about it. We kind of steer away from joy and celebrations. And I want this group to be about women who will celebrate the good things too, and not tell you to keep it down, right? It's a strange culture we live in. Don't you talk too much, keep it down, but we've got to be all things to all people, and we got to be a rock star at it. It's crazy. And I'm finding that isn't what's really happening in here for women. Women are just desiring to have connection with one another, and they're struggling to figure out where. And Embrace You is an opportunity for you to begin to discover who you are authentically. Who are you really? And then share that with other women who are safe. So I want to give you a little taste. What is in Embrace? What kinds of questions are in here? So there's kind of light and breezy type questions. Things that make you feel like a good mom. You list those things. And then there's the deeper ones. Let's talk mama guilt is one of the questions. What sends you to that dark place of feeling like you're not enough as a mom? Right? Other ones, so there's a series of parenting questions if you're a parent. If you're not a parent, you just don't do the parenting section. Personal, I've got more questions for the personal questions. What's a dream you've tucked away in your heart that isn't into the someday category? I love this question. I love hearing women's answers. A lot of times we women are so busy taking care of everybody else, our own dreams have got put on the back burner. And it's almost like we've told ourselves we're not allowed to think about that. And it's so fun to hear the dreams that God has placed in all of our hearts that may or may not someday come true. But it says a lot about who you are, what your passions are, your desires, right? Who you are, to talk about what your dreams are. And that's so fun in a group. Especially with women who have connections. It's fun to think about helping another woman make that come true. If she's in that place, she may not be in a place to make that dream come true. If you could write a note to your younger self 5 years ago, what would you say? Such a great question, and such a great question to hear what other women would tell their younger self. That one's about trusting yourself. It's about giving yourself advice back then, and often when we do that, we step back and say, hey, I got through stuff. I'm stronger than I thought. I survived. And maybe some of that advice I could apply to today. See what I'm saying? The spiritual stuff, it's a lot deeper, and it requires some serious vulnerability. It's about taking everything I know I should think about God. What the Bible says, what my pastor has said, what my mentor has said, my youth group leader, all these people in our lives who have told us who God is, and setting that all aside and asking ourselves, do I believe it? Like, do I really believe that? And some of us don't. I have stuff I'm wrestling with. God, I'm having troubles feeling like I can trust you. I kind of feel like you're an angry guy, even though the Bible says you have a short temper. But I pretty much, if it comes down to brass tacks, I have troubles with this. I can see that you're loving and kind with all these other people, but when it comes to me, when I mess up, I kind of see that you're mad and disappointed with me. And I'll tell you, ladies, when I started to be honest with God about how I really felt, He began to change me in mighty ways. Change my life. So you see, we've got the spiritual questions. We also have some marriage questions. So if you're married and people in your group are married, this could be fun to go through as well. So that's Embrace You. I hope that gives you a little taste what this is all about. And let me know if you're interested. If you're interested in starting your own Embrace You group, there's some things you want to think about. And I'll have some files here on my website of things that you want to consider before you start your own Facebook group. This has got to be a group of women you feel safe with, that you feel comfortable with. You can be vulnerable and not feel like you're going to be stabbed, that you're not going to be criticized and shamed, that you're not going to have a finger wagging. Okay, these are women. You want to be very thoughtful and prayerful about who's in your group. And you can just do it with a girlfriend too. That'd be fun. And it doesn't even have to be a woman that's in your hometown. You could do this over Skype. You could do it over Zoom. You could do it over the phone even. Who do you want to get closer to? Do you want to learn more about who you are and how God made you? Do you want to be in a place where you can embrace her? I'm telling you, ladies, when you begin to embrace that woman and you stop pushing her down and you stop putting yourself way over here behind everybody else's needs, the Lord is going to do amazing, beautiful things with your life. Not that He already hasn't, but I'm telling you, I'm experiencing freedom like I've never known before, and it's because I'm finally deciding to believe God and take Him at His word, that He made me beautiful, that He knit me together in my mother's womb on purpose. I hope you'll join me in becoming you are in embracing that gorgeous, beautiful woman. Thank you.